Hi, Annie Salas here, and I want to share some insights about the process of manifestation and where we are with the process of both manifestation and, quote, ascension in 2016. I've always been someone for whom manifestation came fairly easily and quickly. And I want to touch on this topic because if you're like me, you may be just coming out of a period where manifestation was extremely difficult. And you may be still in a period where manifestation is extremely difficult and you're still feeling a bit stumped, baffled, and frustrated about why you're not able to manifest the things that you're used to being able to handle with ease. From let me go back. For the last 5 years, as the very, very silent war has been going on between the Earth and the energies that have really been attempting to kill the Earth and kill humanity, and the energies that are attempting to create a pseudo-reality that's Earth-like and mimicking our Mother Earth and mimicking the things that she has as her natural resources, mimicking seeds, the fact that Monsanto has the gall to think that it can patent seeds that we use to grow our fruits and vegetables. It's just completely outrageous. And there's this overarching narrative of mimicry that is trying to substitute natural creation after natural creation after natural creation, all the while seducing dear sweet human beings into thinking that everything's really it's just okay. It's really okay. It's your imagination. What's happening here feels really terrible, but it's just your imagination. There's no conspiracy. There's no sinister plot. And so I have, in the last 5 years, in order to align with where the Earth is now and to delightfully have taken up residence on Earth 2 in 2012, before the December 21st deadline. In October, I had made that transition and that choice. There has been a very, very, very intense and a protracted and extended period of detoxification and purification. So I want to give you a little bit of the sense of what I myself have lived through, and I know most of us who are aligned with the Earth and the natural energy of the Earth have been having a really rough go of it. Very, very, very hard. So for the better part of 5 years, I have lived alone. But not only have I lived alone, but I have spent all day, every day, alone. Alone with my thoughts, alone with my feelings, alone with my memories, alone with my urges. And this has gone on for 5 years. Now, every other weekend or so, I have a very loving and caring family, and they would come and scoop me up, and I'd get to go to the supermarket or enjoy some kind of a family outing. But as part of this detoxification and purification process, which led to my awakening into the depth of the dynamic of a taking energy that was deeply embedded in my psyche and in my body, and having to really face that taking energy. And it's a long, slow process because it's not easy to unearth. It's not easy to find in ourselves. We don't see it. We're blind to it. Some of us are more blind to it than others. So in the 5 years, every creation every manifestation, except a very few, that I set out to accomplish with my intention and with my loving heart, and also with my personal will, became an incomplete or an unsatisfying creation. I need to stress this, because not only are we frustrated with our ability to manifest things, but when we do manifest them, in the last 5 years at least, this has been true for me, majority of the time, until you bear it down to the bone, the manifestations have been incomplete and or unsatisfying, because they have not been based in earth-centered and heart-centered reality. So that's a very painful thing to have to say, but I will go back again. 5 years, day in and day out, alone, listening, feeling, being aware of my body. And from 2013 to just about the end of December of 2015, I was also in excruciating pain. And I went to allopathic medicine, and they could find no source for this pain. I had hurt my back, but it was a kind of back injury that should have cleared up. It did not clear up. I was in agony and could barely walk more than 10 or 15 steps without literally seeing stars. This is how much this hurt. So 2 years of that, in addition to being alone all day, every day. Now, during this time, I also started a business, Tech Talk Cafe. I have a fair amount of comfort with working online and with computers. And I started a tech coaching business for people who struggle with getting themselves online and manifesting what they would like to create with an online business. So times were impossibly hard. I lived day to day, sometimes hour to hour, not knowing how I would meet my expenses. My family very generously was able to help me. After my back injury, I gave up my car. There was no point in repairing it or insuring it. It was just an expense I could not afford. And I had a trickle of clients that really kept things afloat, but only afloat. And this was very challenging for me because, as I said, I was used to manifesting things easily and comfortably and quickly. And I kept feeling like I was running into a wall. And I knew that my intentions were coming from the right place, and I knew that my spiritual work was coming from a clear place, and I knew that my heart was coming from a loving place. And in this 5-year period of time, there isn't a day that I did not wake up and express gratitude for what I had, rather than focusing on what I did not have. So this was the purification process. The detoxification included, I stopped watching television. I gave up my cable subscription. I stopped reading newspapers and magazines, and I confined my news source, this daily news source, to what information I would have access to on the radio. And eventually I even gave that up because I began to hear so acutely that I could hear when the radio airwaves were including coded messages that are meant to be deceiving and destructive to humanity and to planet Earth. So in that time, my skills as a healer, because I was alone every day and all day, were redirected to situations, scenarios, and difficulties around the globe, which included hotspots for global conflict, It included working on the CERN LHC Collider facility and other facilities like it to disable them, disarm them, slow them down. And I know they're going to want to be up and running again in March, and I do hope that all of you will join with many of us now around the globe who will do our absolute utmost to ensure that we go into the rest of this year without CERN doing the damage that it is intent on doing. So I don't know how to describe what I went through. I was alert to everything I felt. I was absolutely made abundantly conscious of fear states and how I felt in my body, and the material that came up every single day. Maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks I would get what I would call a break, and nothing came up for me to process, either to detoxify or to purify. Certainly in that time there was no dating, there was very little social activity other than a few well-chosen companions, friends. Absolutely no sexual energy being exchanged with another person. I joked with a friend today that for all intents and purposes, I was reliving one of my lives as a Tibetan monk, and I was all alone in some mountaintop cave, praying for the world and working on my own condition of karma. During this time, I have had the absolute unwavering loving support of my mother, Angel Keene, and I have watched her flow into a situation now where she is respected, loved, well cared for, where she is the beneficiary of the generosity she has always bestowed on her family and children and grandchildren. It is amazing to me to see what she has put around coming back around to her at this time of her life, and she is now 85 and kicking. She's very active, and she's so happy living in a community of people who have a cultural signature that they're all familiar with and comfortable with. It's just such a blessing. So I did have that to work through as well. My mother and I'm happy to say, have worked through our issues, and that's been really the result of a deep commitment on my part, because I did not want to have her leave the planet and drop her body and have our work that we needed done be unfinished. I simply was not willing to have that outcome. And so we have gotten our work done. And day by day, I continue to live day by day, week by week. And most days, all day, I am alone. I do have the occasional phone call. I have the, like I said, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks opportunity to go out into the world to get some of my other very basic needs met. I was someone who really was very fortunate and had a lot of money, energy, and I was used to being able to buy and use and acquire beautiful and very expensive things. And that all ended in 2008. Now, prior to that, I had the wonderful experience in 2006 of being campaign staffer for Senator Bernie Sanders, and that was, in fact, 2006. Now that we're 10 years later, that was one of the few manifestations that I lent my heart and soul to, and my body, that was not an incomplete creation, co-creation. And today, Senator Sanders is running for president, and so I continue to feel the impact of being able to be part of that manifestation. with Senator Sanders and an amazing team of people, just amazing. And at that time I was living in Vermont. I subsequently moved from Vermont after Bernie was successful in his Senate bid. I decided that I kind of wanted to just ease up a bit. It was a very intense period of time. And I went to work for a small book publisher in Vermont. And there began the first of many, many, many incomplete manifestations and creations. Now, I'm an artist by nature. I'm an extremely creative person. I started making art when I was 3 years old, recognizable art, and that has continued throughout my life. Theater, stand-up comedy, musician, songwriter, producer, actress, playwright, all those things. This is part of who I am. And so this period of 5 years of incomplete manifestations, during which I was taken through an intense detoxification. And again, this also included food. In the last year and a half, I completely I've given up white sugar. I always was someone who ate organic when I could afford to do that. But in the area of food, I have also done a great deal of detoxifying. And my body has really made it clear to me that it is beyond aspirin. It really does not want to receive anything that has allopathic, big pharma signature on it. My body does not want it. It rejects it, and I have a very rough time of it. So I wanted to share this with you because in the co-creative mastermind group, there are 3 groups available, and I'm sort of ironically calling one of those groups the Job group, because anyone who's familiar with the story of Job knows the suffering that Job went through. He never disconnected from his creator source, and he resisted every temptation that non-source energies threw at him. And I know many of you are in that circumstance right now, whether it's financial, whether it's medical, whether it's emotional trauma, drama. There are so many ways in which we have been tested and are still being tested. But I want to share with you that if you would like some help with that, having been through it and then having my background as a healer as well, having trained other healers, having had a school, having done my work that's been documented and evaluated by medical professionals, and then having lived what I have just described to you, I am happy to help you, and I am able to help you, whether that's through energy healing remote, or whether that's through soul conversations, and being able to align very, very, very quickly and skillfully with what you may be going through, and how to support you in unpeeling the best of who you are, not in the egoic sense, not in the personality sense, but in the sense of what this planet needs most at this time from you. So I wish in some ways I could have videotaped it, because, well, there is a bit of it. I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Groundhog Day, I would say that gives you a glimpse, but what went on for a very long time, day after 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 week after month after year, was this very distressing feeling that my imagination became more and more blocked, that I literally was unable to move, and that my creative flow did not stop, but it was forced into some very, very weird containers that were not satisfying to me, other than to say, I did it, I stuck with it, I completed. So this may sound very, very familiar to you. So in the groups, in the co-creative groups, I have a series of questions for you, and we go through how you begin to disengage from your egoic structures that are causing you challenges. And we have conversations about free will and how your free will is attuned and what it looks like when your free will is attuned. We have conversations about self-responsibility, and I need you to understand that I am still working on these things, but I have come pretty far along, and I have a lot of life experience behind what I have lived. And I have definitely walked my talk. And I'm not coming from a place of privilege. And one of the other things that I will say is I'm especially reaching out to brown and black people who are going through these trials right now, because you are not going to see yourself reflected in the New Age movement. When I was active as a healer, I kept a parallel stance to the New Age movement because it did not ring true for me. It still does not ring true for me. And even though I am aware that my soul group is from another star cluster, I am born here on Earth at this time to be part of Gaia's journey into her own awakening, and what that looks like only Gaia knows. So I'm reaching out because as I look on the internet and as I do a lot of looking and searching, I have been aware for more than 25 years that brown and black people, in terms of the New Age movement, have been particularly left out of visibility, left out of the conversation, and not invited to share the contributions that they have to bring to the process. Now, the other thing I will say is that I know that many brown and black people have taken those needs to formal religion, and that's great. I have done that as well. I am, in fact, an ordained minister. But what I have found as the planet is moving into her own sovereignty, that these formal associations may not be doing the full job of support that you may need to see you through and get you through your other side of your own unique journey of detoxification and purification. Now, I never had addictions other than white sugar and taking. I did not have addictions that I had to grapple with. I did not have drug addiction. I did not have sexual energy addiction. I did not have emotional addictions. So I know many, many people are still detoxing and purifying from these patterns that are not natural to the human condition. They just are not, and we've been led to believe that they are. So I wanted to extend an invitation to you to join me in this work. Hopefully I am inviting you to consider whether or not you would like me to help you as you continue on your journey through to hopefully taking up residence on Earth too. It's pretty wonderful so far, and I've been here for 4 years. And I also want to leave you with this, that what's happening to you is a profound form of wisdom and love. It may not feel like it, but it is. So if I can encourage you to hold on to the sense of gratitude, to seek the wisdom in what you're experiencing, and to surrender that part of your ego and your personality that really does not know what is best for you at a soul level, at a life level, or to help you fulfill your purpose here for being on the planet at this time. I would leave you with that. Find your gratitude space. Find your forgiveness space when you need it. always try to take a breath and bring yourself into your heart, in your heart-centered space. It will hold you in good stead, and you will have less suffering as you complete your own process of detoxification and purification. So I look forward to having you come into one of my co-creative groups, and you'll find more information about that as we go along, and I will be letting you know the specifics of when there is space in one of my groups. The mastermind group will be by invitation only, but I have 2 other groups that I will be working with for people who are ready to come into their co-creative capacity, sense this, and need some additional support and mentoring while they're completing that part of their life's journey. So I wish you all well. I hope this has given you some insight to what I have to offer. There's more available, but I don't want to bore you. We are all going through really challenging times. And we have, Earth 2 is still open. There is still room here, but you're going to need to choose, and you're going to need to choose soon, or you may miss the opportunity to transition from the Earth that is now very, 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 let's just call it, it's infected with transhumanism and other energy that has been trying to kill the planet. That will not happen now. That branch of the experience has been closed off, and that's also creating a lot of challenging situations, sometimes between family members. So you'll need to make a choice. You are choosing, and it would be better if you could choose this of your own free will and choose from your heart and from your soul spirit, rather than ending up with a default choice and finding yourself in a reality that you will not know how you got there. So thank you very much for tuning in and listening to what I have to share with you. And I look forward to co-creating with as many of you as who decide to step up to